Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Twas, the role-playing game before Christmas. This is a Christmas fantasy horror role-playing game where you play as toys that have been animated by the magic of Santa Claus. Santa Claus has been kidnapped by Krampus and you need to rescue him. If you haven't seen the other parts, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time I am going to talk about the included adventure, and I'm also going to give you my final thoughts on this role-playing game. This adventure, the one included in this core rulebook, is one of the best fantasy horror adventures that I have seen in terms of replayability and surprises. You may remember from one of the other parts of this review that I mentioned that the standard way of playing Twas was with a rotating game master approach. That is, one of the players is going to participate as the game master for a specific act of the adventure. Once that act is finished, the game master is going to participate as a player character, so this adventure handles acts randomly. By drawing cards, you can determine everything about the adventure. Well, at least when it comes to the sequence of the acts, you can also determine the characters that the players are going to be playing as. So if you're not too sure or too certain about which toy you're going to be using as a player character, you have a way to randomly determine that. And because the sequence of the acts is randomly determined, this also means that this adventure can be played as a solo or co-op experience without a game master. Although remember that if you want a more focused solo experience, definitely consider checking out the gamebook version of Twas. It is the same story, you need to rescue Santa Claus from Krampus. But when it comes to this adventure, you need at least 4 player characters, or even 6 player characters, that works best. But there are different ways in which you can scale the difficulty of this adventure up or down. So if you only have a group of 2 or 3 players, it's possible to tone down things so that the challenge is somewhat balanced. However, I also think that you can also adjust the mood of the adventure, the horror elements. If you want to make it more disturbing, more terrifying, you can do that with great ease because of the different elements. It's very easy to take those elements and raise the horror level to 11 or beyond, let's put it like that. But if you want to play this with people that are not too steadfast or tranquil when it comes to handling horror, you can also tone down the horror elements as well. Now, I am going to talk about this adventure without spoiling anything, because the people watching this video may end up participating in the adventure. Even if they start out as game masters, in the next act they will participate as players probably. There are a lot of tips and advice on how to handle different situations within the adventure. For example, what happens with the player character that the game master is leaving behind when he switches from being a player to a game master. Maybe the next player can take control of that character. Maybe that character steps aside and doesn't participate in the adventure. You could use any excuse, maybe the character was captured, or maybe that character was following a lead, perhaps trying to find out where Santa Claus is being kept by Krampus. So the game master that now switched to the player role may end up creating and using his or her own toy. So that's great. I think that way the game master will feel more connected with the adventure. Otherwise, you may feel like as if you are borrowing the player character or someone else. It's going to feel less personal, in my opinion. So you're going to be navigating different environments. There is a nice combination of interaction with non-player characters, combat, investigation, and there are going to be many Toy Story type of situations, but with a strong horror presence. There are choices that you will have to take. You will have to be moving across all over the place. Don't think that this is going to take place in a single house because the characters are so small. This is going to take you through different environments, different very dangerous sites. You're going to be interacting with all sorts of creatures within the scope of Christmas folklore, and things can end up being very disturbing. And like I said, you can raise the level of eeriness. You can make situations as unnerving as you want, and because there is a lot of randomness, you could replay this adventure several times. Perhaps you could make it a Christmas tradition to play this role-playing game every Christmas, and there will still be many surprises for a long time to come. And that is without taking into consideration that there are different expansions adding to the acts of the adventure. You can also make this adventure as long or as short as you want by reducing the number of acts that you take on. And by the end, you have different adventure hooks to continue the adventure and create your own adventures and campaigns. For example, you have mince pies. The plate of mince pies left out for Father Christmas is not as benign as it first appears, for the pies are possessed and are determined to stop the toys from making it out of the house alive. Or maybe you use the hook of cunning as a fox. Out in the freezing night, the toys come across an Arctic fox caught in a trap. The animal begs them to free it, but is it really their ally or their enemy? And what happens if they set it loose? You could use the hook of better the devil you know. Krampus is back, but this time he has the backing of a whole gaggle of anti-Santas. The toys will have to recruit allies, old and new, to join them in their battle against Black Peter, Pels Nickel, Klau Buff, and Necht Reprecht. The book also includes sources of inspiration, that is, listed recommendations of books, legends, Christmas carols, for you to come up with your own adventures and campaigns. So what do I think of Twas, the role-playing game before Christmas? This is an awesome role-playing game. Everything about it is so great. Starting with character creation, I love it how you can create your own toys, you can customize them, and it's very easy to reskin any element of the creation process. If you wanted to play as a G.I. Joe or as a Barbie doll, you can do that. The system is quite easy to understand, the rules are quite streamlined, very fast. Action resolution happens almost immediately. Spells are also quite simple despite having a good variety of them. I like the horror elements, how they combine with the Christmas folklore and mythology. And the adventure is perfect. Because of the replayability aspect, you can play this over and over again, and adding more to the adventure by purchasing expansions if you want. In fact, pretty soon I am going to be reviewing the expansions for this role-playing game. So overall, my highest recommendation for Twas, the role-playing game before Christmas. I think that only someone who doesn't enjoy randomness in an adventure, or that is not particularly fond of the Christmas mythology or folklore, I think that's the only sort of player that is going to dislike this game. The rest of the people are going to love it. Thank you for watching this review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.